All right, so I spent some more time looking at anger stuff this for this cycle. Nothing with the Sandstorm package has changed, except for that. Interestingly, one of the Sandstorm devs came across my blog post about it and said, so he sent me an email and said that he was like giving a talk in a college about kind of the security aspects of Sandstorm, and he was like, "Hey, it'd be really cool if you had your app uploaded to our app store so I could reference it at my talk." So I don't know if I'm actually gonna have that up before he gives his talk, but that was kind of a unexpected cool thing that happened. So anyway, I originally was not going to put this in the app store, but he said that he thought it was unique enough to put it up there. So what I did do was spend some time trying to learn about anger, right? So that was my kind of ultimate goal, was to learn more about anger. And so I've learned a little bit more. I spent a lot of time poking around at this, but I still feel like I maybe understand like 5% of anger. Like there's just a lot going on there. So I'm not actually going to walk through any of the samples in this video, just because I actually tried doing that once and I went like way over the time. So I don't know. I don't think it's going to be feasible for a 10-minute video to walk through any sort of like actually interesting example. But I will have, so before I publish this to the Sandstorm App Store, I will be publishing some blog posts on these examples, and or publishing the examples themselves, right? So I'll export it as a IPython / Jupyter notebook, so somebody else could just import it right into their Jupyter instance and run with it. I guess so. I'll probably cover this in the blog posts too, but I'll just mention some interesting things that I noted when using anger and Jupyter. So one constraint that I noticed with Jupyter is that for more complex binaries, or when you're trying to tell anger to analyze a large set of paths, so basically think higher complexity. Right, anger needs more RAM, it's more intensive, takes longer, etc. And something is going wrong when I run anger in Jupyter, where the kernel, the Python kernel, or I should say the PyPy kernel, like times out and just kind of stops responding, and the analysis never finishes. So I don't know if that just means that my VM that Sandstorm is running in doesn't have enough RAM. I don't know if there's something else in that VM that's like killing that process, if it's using up too much system resources. I don't know if Sandstorm does anything like that with its containers. It could be a limitation of PyPy. When I run anger on my local laptop, I run it using Python 2, not PyPy. And so all of these scripts run fine on my laptop. They complete. They take some time, but they complete. But when I run them in the Jupyter instance, the more complex ones don't complete. So this one that we're looking at right here on the screen is a solution for the C2 reversing challenge from the DakotaCon reversing challenge last year. This one runs just fine in Jupyter. So I'll run it really quick because I think I've got plenty of time. So I just printed out the warning. It's working on this one right now, supposedly, or one of these two. And yep, there you go. So there's the flag for this one. Millhouse30, the biggest goat ever at gmail.com. So anyway, that's really about all I've got. One other interesting thing, I guess, that I noticed with anger is that so far it takes me much longer to, or at least in most cases, it takes me much longer to solve a problem with anger than it does for me to just solve it using quote-unquote traditional reverse engineering, like with IDA Pro and a debugger. But I have some hope that as I learn anger better and I get a better idea of what I need to do to get anger to do what I want it to do, that using Anger will actually be quite a lot faster. So one example of this is I actually did. I'm not going to show it to you since this CTF is still ongoing, but I solved the challenge 1 from the flare-on CTF, which is going on right now, using Anger. And I didn't actually do any traditional reverse engineering on that binary, but it took me like many hours to get Anger to solve this. Okay, and I'm not like, so once I got the code right, Anger only had to turn on it for about 15 minutes, but it took me many hours to get to get the code for this right. And I'm pretty confident that if I had just reversed it, traditionally, that it would not have taken that many hours. Probably would have still taken me some time, but not like 8 or 9 hours, I think, is what I ended up taking me, which, looking back, it's kind of an embarrassingly long time, but anyway, I guess that's also what happens when you're running on a less than ideal amount of sleep. Anyway, that's all I've got right now. Look for some blog posts, possibly later tonight or maybe tomorrow, because I'm going to try to get this published to the Sandstorm App Store by Tuesday this week, I think is my goal. So anyway, thanks for watching.